Check the mic and make sure it sound right.
All right, I'm here today with Coach Otis Cutshaw, head men's and women's tennis coach at Weber International down in Florida. How you doing today, Coach?
Pretty good, Alec. How are you today?
I'm hanging in there, man. Beautiful weather here today. We're inching closer and closer to being free here in West Virginia, at least. So it's getting kind of exciting. I'm going a little bit stir crazy.
Yeah, me too. But at least I can get out a couple days a week and come in the office here, so it's not too bad.
Yeah, so you're still getting to work a little bit, working on recruiting still some too, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely. It's a lot quieter here in the office than at my home with the two kids, the dog, the wife, everything going on. So it's a lot quieter here.
Yeah. Our office is actually at Salem. We're not even allowed in the building right now because of the COVID thing. I know you told me a little bit privately how you're allowed to be in the building certain hours a week.
Right. Yeah, I had to submit a letter every week to make sure I have a permission to get on campus. So it's not too bad.
Cool. So, Otis, kind of with you, I'd like to start a little bit into your tennis background. I know you're from Maryland. You had a good junior career, and then you ended up at a junior college. So you want to kind of touch on that experience for us a little bit?
Yeah, sure. Funny, I listen to all your casts right now. It's been pretty cool. So Terry starting when he was 26, I'm like, well, I mean, I started late, but I didn't start that late. I started about when I was 14, so I was probably a sophomore in high school. Pretty much played just high school tennis, never went to junior tournaments, never played any junior, I just practiced and trained, and went out and I was gonna go. Actually, I might have met Terry. Went to WVU back in the '80s. It was like '89 when I graduated, but it just didn't work out. I ended up being home, helping my mom with the family and everything. So 4 years later, I'm out playing some tournaments like we used to play in the summer. This guy, Bede, he goes, "Hey, you play college?" I was like, "No, I want to." He goes, "Let me introduce you to a junior college coach." And come find out, I ended up playing Charles County Community College, which is now the College of Southern Maryland. They no longer have tennis, though, but we were two-time state regional champion and went to nationals 2 years. And then, had a good JUCO career. It was a lot of fun. Then got offers from all these other schools to play, and Lee Underwood from Davis and Elkins happened to call me in December, no less. He gets me there. It's snowing. I'm driving I have a Trans Am, whatever, driving there, and the snow's up to the windows because it's 95 and the snowstorm that was there. And I'm like, where am I going in Siberia? It's like, there's not even a 7-Eleven in Elkins.
First time in Elkins.
Yeah, it was crazy. He drove me around. Snow packed. I hit with Dave O'Neill on the gym floor there. You've been in the gym. Yeah, we had the two indoor courts in the gym there.
The wooden surface, right?
Yeah, with the wood, fast as all get out. But we hit a few balls, and he asked me what I thought, and I was like, I'll come to D&E because my coach back home taught me to surf. He was a surfing coach. And, love surfing. I love playing tennis. I was like, if I had went to Chapman University in San Diego, Coastal Carolina, all I was going to do was surf and play tennis. I wasn't going to graduate college. So
yeah, that's probably true.
Elkins was a choice because I hated the mountains and the snow. And now I know how to snowboard. I ended up back there. So, I mean, it's funny how that happens and works, but I did get my degree and, I had a great college career and, Lee's some of that support for that and some other people involved. But I mean, full circle away, it's kind of funny when you think about it. Going through that process, when I played a tournament in '92 against a guy that was number 2 seed from Maryland in a state indoor tournament. He beat me 0-0 and about 60 minutes I think it was 40 minutes, and it was $40 getting a tournament. I said I got my lesson. It was $1 a minute. And that was 92. Yeah, so that was 92. This guy ends up being the assistant coach at my JUCO, okay? And he helps coach me, and he goes, I kind of remember you with my long hair and goatee. And then his name was Ken Barnes. He's still in Maryland, Mid-Atlantic, and still plays. He's a great player, great guy. And I get out of college about 97, 98 when I graduate, he's calling me to train him for the national, hard courts, grass courts. I'm always hitting with him in these private places. So that full circle of 5 years of hitting, playing college tennis and going out, I mean, I just kept grinding it out. And now he beat me in 40 minutes. Now he's calling me to train with him and getting ready for national tournaments, which is kind of surreal when you think about it.
Definitely, the growth, as a player, people talk to me about, what my level was in high school versus like, becoming like a junior and senior in college and then post college. Like, it's just funny to see the level improve. And, tennis it's kind of a long game. It takes you a long time to really get to where it's a little bit like golf, right? Like,
Right.
it's not
Yep.
something you could just pick up and be good at in a year. Like, almost never
No.
is that possible. So, just funny to see, how much you grow, especially college, you training with international players and, playing against the top players from multiple states and countries. So
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
getting that experience, man. I think for me too, it was something that it's just something you wouldn't expect maybe because I didn't start playing until I was 15 too.
Yeah, for me, what I saw was, I played local tournaments in Maryland, and I'd go to these tournaments, and I'd get knocked out, and you know, I always tell my players, I said, the first 4 years I played, I was 0-80. I never won a match, and you see me play, I've won matches, and
Right.
I
I've
was
seen you win a
0-80.
couple. Nah.
Yeah, so I'm 0-80, and I'm going. You have to put your work in. You get knocked down, get back up, and you know, so locally, you play these tournaments, and I get the semis. I was ecstatic. I was like, oh, I get to play on Sunday, and then you go to play the state events or the regional events in the Mid Atlantic, and you start getting better, and then the local tournaments start to become easier, and then you get to the state, might do better in the regionals, you start doing better in the state, and the regionals was tough, but then when I went to play, satellites and futures, the regional and the state tournaments became easier. It's just that progression of the level of player that you hit with and where you're going. And, it's just funny how it all comes full circle. And, I always tell even my college players this, they get mad when they lose or lose a tournament. And I'm like, you watch Wimbledon, you watch the US Open, any of the Grand Slams, there's only one winner and there's 127 losers. It's a weird sport. Yeah.
Well, I think losing a lot of times teaches you how to win, or you play a really
Yeah.
good player, and you're like, I want to play like them. Like they not only were they better than me today, but they were smarter than me. Like they picked me apart like very methodically. So I think kind of getting over the steps, like you said, and getting over the hump,
Right.
it's very apparent in tennis when you get to do like you're taking the next step up, and it's fun
Correct.
for the
Yeah.
juniors for me coaching them, but it's really fun for the college players too, bringing in a freshman and then seeing what level they are when they leave, or their peaks, their high
Oh,
points.
yeah.
It's crazy to see players grow as people too, not just as players.
Right, correct. Yeah, I mean, I take great pride and satisfaction in that, and and somewhat that's more rewarding seeing them as a player, not so much as how they play, but what they grow when they graduate. I don't know, like I always joke and tell people I was like, it's probably the worst financial decision I ever made in my life was to be a coach, but the best like life rewarding lesson that I ever made in my entire life was the reward I get, the satisfaction I get out of it. And what I found is, for someone like your age and yourself, and I went through that, I was like, I used to think it was money that I had to chase. And it's not the money, it's the happiness. And the money will come regardless of what you decide to do. You can always find a way to make it. And it's about, at the end of the day, am I happy that I get up every day and I get to come to work and do something I enjoy and love? And I'm so inspired to be. I mean, shoot, there's people in quarantine. I'm begging to come to work. you know?
Absolutely, man. I couldn't agree with you more. And I really couldn't put it better myself either. It's really rewarding. And I know coaches in all sports, not just tennis, but I mean, coaching in small colleges, financially it can be difficult sometimes. And like you said, if you love what you do and you're going to be good at it, and when you're good at it, you're going to make the money. I mean, I don't
Right.
worry so much about it. I think I did more. I mean, I'm still young, but I think I used to think in college, like I got to make this X amount of money by the time and you think about stuff like that, and then you start to grow, and it's like, that stuff doesn't matter, man. Like I got food on the table and I'm working hard and I
Right.
love my job. And like you said, getting up in the morning and you're ready to go. Like, yes, like
Yeah.
let's play tennis today. Like let's get to work. It's something
Exactly.
I don't think everyone gets to experience that in their job. So it's pretty cool. For you, what year did you graduate, and then what year did you actually take over at D&E?
Well, I graduated in '97, in December of '97. So I graduated midway. They wanted me to go to '98 for the spring, but I'd already signed up to play the Satellites and Future Series in like Mobile and the
Mhm.
Carolinas, and then the next series in May in Florida. So I was like, I'm not coming back. I'm going to go play. '97, '98 is when I graduated. I tried to go out and play for 4 years. Um, I was actually a project manager in DC, sitting in traffic every day, 2 hours a day, 2 hours in, and wasting 4 hours of my life. I was still playing, but the grind and just that I worked next to the Washington, the Capitol building, the White House, Washington. I worked right downtown. I mean, I was there every day. And it just got monotonous. And one day, our good friend Tim Gibson calls me, and
Damn.
he was like, "You want a job?" He's like, "You want to get out of this and just come back to Elkins?" And so he worked for a mortgage company, and he convinced me to come there. And I made the worst financial decision I ever made in my life. And I moved to Elkins, and I went back to the black hole that I said when I left and graduated. I said I'd never come back here. It's the black hole of the universe, and for some reason, it just draws the people in, and you get put in there. And by no means disrespect, but like it's just a special place when you end up there. Like it just draws you back. I mean, I still find myself going back now, and I got there and. Things didn't work out with his job. I ended up delivering pizzas for about 8 years. And I worked some side jobs with the DNR, and that didn't pan out, some other things. And ended up back at D&E. I actually went back. Lee was still the coach there when I went back. He said, you could come back. I was going to play one more year, Salaries and Futures. He had 3 Kenyon Davis Cuppers. He mentioned Barry.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about Barry. And I think I think Brandon used to hit with them a lot too as a junior.
Yeah. So I got to hit with those guys for like 6 months, and then they cut the program. Well, that 6 months was like
what year would that have been when they cut it?
2001, I think. 2000.
So they cut the program entirely.
Yeah. Men's and women's, everything, just done. And when I went back there to hit, that was when we played the grass court tournament that summer, like 99 or somewhere around there. And I played against Barry, but I got to train with those guys for 6 months before they were done. So I was there 2001, 2002, I think it was right after 9/11, from what I recollect. And then 2002, so I kind of hung out there. We just played tennis. Dave ran the Elkins tournament a couple times, and I just didn't do nothing. I just hung out. The president, they hired another president. He sees me at Forest Festival. They hadn't had the program for I got there 7 years. President goes, "You're the new tennis coach," and I was like, "I didn't apply. I didn't put my resume in." He goes, "Everybody knows you're the guy for the job. You're an alumni. You have the background. You can do it." And I said, "I didn't apply." So the guy that was the AD used to play basketball at D&E, Amrit Rayfield. He's actually the AD, I think, at Elkins High School now.
Okay.
And the baseball coach was a good friend of mine as well, who played baseball at D&E. So Amrit played basketball. The baseball coach, he was the baseball guy there, and I was a tennis guy. And so they talked to me, like, "Hey, this is a good gig. Why don't you come do this?" Again, another worst financial decision I ever made. I keep making these decisions not based on money, but faith. And so I was like, I have a really good job. I'm restoration specialist. I'm going in doing restoration work and making good money, and I'm ahead of a job. And I said, "You know what? I'm going to go coach." And so Amr talked me into it, and I went there, and I went to D&E, and I started in 2009. And I had no team, no men or women. I got hired in January, and I had to field the team by September.
So, starting out, I'm sure, building a team from scratch, you deal with some struggles that, a lot of coaches, if they never built a program from scratch, would have to face. What were some of the biggest challenges for you and just the early lessons that you learned, potentially the hard way, in building a team and building a winning culture?
Well, for me, the coaching part was easy. Like for me, I've been coaching all my life. I mean, I had already 18 years of coach. I started coaching when I was 18. I coached at an officers club in Annapolis, and then a Navy club, a naval base in Southern Maryland with my personal coach. That was quite interesting because when I was coaching, I was real quiet as a mouse, and he goes, "They're military people. You can yell at them." So it changed how I boast my voice when I'm coaching. And got it early on. But for me the challenge wasn't about the coaching, but it was all the other stuff that I had no clue doing. Recruiting, budget. I mean, it's a business. So, I mean, I ran businesses before. So budgeting was just that recruiting part. They assigned me an admissions rep just to be with me all the time to help me with recruiting, which was nice. And I kind of relied on her to help me a lot just to get players in. But, we didn't have any budget. They wouldn't give me anything to recruit. The courts were horrible. And I was just telling Yvonne about my year there, my record. I compared my records going in. I think my men were 4-12, and the women were like 2-11 for my first year. So I mean, and we had a girl off the track team, a girl that was a swimmer, like, because I had to fill pieces in. And but I got a couple of international players. Alan Bailey was one of them, and Augustina Choa and another girl. And I was like, I'm going to build my program around you, and hopefully within 4 years we'll win a championship. I was only off by 1 year. I was 5 years, and that's when I started.
So what would you say, what was the year where you started to turn the tide? I know you said, talked about year one struggles, but what year did you finally feel like, okay, like we got an actual tennis team here now, like now I can kind of find the culture that I'm looking for and actually win? Like, what was the year where you felt like it turned around?
It was really year 4 for me, even though we didn't win. It was just how everybody was together as a unit, how everybody was playing. Like, you could feel it.
Things started to change, yeah.
Right, you could feel the building. I wouldn't say like significant wins. Like, I remember, year 2 or 3, like you talked about, like beating us when you finally came and beat us.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Feel the difference. Yeah, no, but I'm just saying, like when I finally beat Fairmont, I was like, yes, but I wasn't even there. I was at a board director meeting, and Tim was running the team, and he's texting me what everything's going, and he goes, "We're gonna beat Fairmont." I'm like, I'm not even there. It's so, but for us, like, the guys, it was like Fairmont, can I beat West Liberty or Wesleyan? When the girls, that year we beat Wesleyan, and the girls want to yell and jump up and down. And I was like, get in the van. And we were at Wesleyan. I said, get in the van. I'm not doing this. And, because it's just respect for like Mark and the program. And I said, but we got the Arby's, and it was like the biggest celebration, like right there on the strip. You know what I mean? And they were like, Coach, what are you doing? I'm like, it's just respect. Like, for me, it's about respect. Like, yeah, we've been waiting a long time to do this. And we turned the corner, which it was crazy because I think that year we finished like 12 or 10. I think it was 10-2 in the conference. And then we went and we played the spring, and we finished like 2-8 for the spring. But I played like Northwood, UND. Like, I played a bunch of other teams that just were powerhouses. But for me, that's how you get better. You got to play good people. You just can't go play a cupcake schedule. And you'll never see on my schedule where it's like, I'm gonna have a blowout year, because if I'm that good, I'm trying to schedule Division I's or nationally ranked opponents.
That was something I thought was important with Kyle early on too. Is he gave us a tough schedule his year one, when we were still really just building from old pieces and adding in Micah and a couple other pieces. So Kyle's second year, when the fall when we beat you guys, I mean, we were a totally different team, but I mean, we had 4 new guys on our roster. I was playing 6 in that fall, so we had jumped another level. And after we'd beaten you guys, we were like, most of our guys were freshmen. We're like, that team normally, they kick our butt. My freshman year, they kicked our butt. So, to get to this point to beat these guys, it felt like we were starting to turn the corner. Like, it was slowly but surely coming along. So it like we talked about before, as a player, just the growth and seeing the kids grow and building a winning culture, I think, is really rewarding, but it's just really fun to watch. And winning is a part of it. But even like you said, I think you mentioned a little bit, not even just the wins, just when you start to feel like you're playing against people who maybe a year ago you couldn't have even been on the court with. It was a 9-0, to going to, like, maybe you turn that same team, maybe it's 6-3 the next year. So just slowly catching up to people and then finally beating them, and like, we did
exactly.
That.
Yeah, I mean, and I do it still here, or like even at like, it doesn't matter where I'm at. You still do that even when I was a player. And if you and I go out and play 10 times, you beat me 9, I'm still trying to beat you. I still want that win. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm still looking, how can I improve? You just said earlier, as a tennis player, like, you're always looking for that improvement. So I try to incorporate that with my team as well. So.
And one thing that I really I respect about you, Coach, is that you still love to play the game. Like, what I mean? Like, you're one of the few guys out in the summer league that, one of the older guys who you're still playing singles open, like, up until whatever point, like, you're still out there battling, man. And I think for me, that just, as a player, as a high schooler, and whenever I came to visit you, that was one thing that I really was drawn to, is like, this guy, like, even as a player, like, he still wants to kill me when we're out there. Like, he's got that competitive edge. Like,
right.
And as a coach, I think that probably gives your players some confidence too. And when you got me for the visit and all that, I tell people all the time, I said, Otis Cutshaw is the only coach who ever offered me a scholarship out of high school. So I kind of tell that story because, people, they see what level I'm at as a junior, senior, and am now. And they're like, oh, yeah, my kids at the club are like, what scholarship did you have, Coach? Or, what were you like as a junior? And I'm like, I got one scholarship offer 2 months before I was supposed to go to Fairmont. And the deal at Fairmont was so much better, and I still was this close to signing the papers with Coach Cutshaw. He said the thing of gear out for me on his desk. He had the championship trophy, which was about 2 feet tall, on his desk. He had his championship ring on his hand, and he said, "You just got to sign here." And for me, it was the most like the cool feeling to get to do the visit. We went in to the Graceland and ate,
Right.
and
Right.
to me, like, I thought that was a really cool recruiting pitch. And, I saw a lot of value in that as a recruit. So I think one of your biggest assets as a coach definitely is being a recruiter. And you know how valuable that is in any college sport, but especially at a lower division, D2, NAI. I mean, if you're a good recruiter, you can build anywhere in the country.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, and it wasn't, I mean, for me to recruit you, and it was based solely on watching you play all those summers together. And I knew what kind of gritty and grinder player you were. And
Definitely.
I knew my biggest obstacle was overcoming, you and Kyle also spent a lot of time together. So it was really difficult for me to recruit you as well.
Well, you remember Kyle wasn't my coach my freshman
Oh,
year.
yeah. That's
Kyle
true.
wasn't
That's
even
true.
there. So,
Yeah.
and I actually hadn't signed the papers because I walked on to Fairmont athletically. I had
that's
all the
right.
scholarship academic. So
Right.
I was going on a full academic with promise and all that stuff. So for you,
yeah.
it was an uphill battle because, like, I don't remember what I would have paid, but like a lot more than zero. You know what I mean?
That's true. That's true.
So it was cool though. Definitely looking back, it's really something that I didn't think I would look back on and think so highly of, but it was cool for sure. You guys had a good program. You guys were stronger than us, a lot stronger than us at Fairmont that first year. When I went to Fairmont, actually, the year before, they'd won one match against West Virginia State. So, yeah, it was cool for me to start from the very bottom kind of D2 and kind of work my way up. But, getting better teammates and getting a better coach, and the program just literally did a 180 because I think, you remember a lot of your years against Fairmont. That wasn't your hardest match on the schedule once you guys became winners. Once you guys started winning.
When we first played, man, Fabian and those guys, I mean, they just took it to us. And Rodney,
for sure.
Yeah, when I was a player, Rodney was a coach. Okay.
Yeah, Rodney's actually had 2 different stints at Fairmont coaching.
Yes, I know.
And I love that.
So I mean, it's no different than Joe down at Concord. He was a coach when I was a player, and then I'm a coach, and I'm coaching against him. So. And believe it or not, basketball at West Liberty, right? So Jim
Crutchfield. Yeah, he was the tennis coach too.
Yeah, and I played against him when he was the coach, and now he was the basketball coach, and now he's down here at Nova. So, it's a small circle of guys. When you do this long enough, you become, if you don't burn out and leave, or can't figure it out, the system. You do it long enough, you become, this group of this group of people here in this community as far as coaches. That's why I've enjoyed your talks with everyone, because it's a lot of people. It's a lot of history. It's a lot of stuff you get to learn and know about the state of tennis and in West Virginia, but not just that, just the history in general, like the guys, what they know and see. I did a training with James Kent over in Huntington. We went to Kentucky with Phil and Lee. We did a PTR course there. So that's how I met him. And I knew about his national championships. And I was like, hey, I need to come over and play you sometime. That's just how I am.
Kent is actually the only ever clay court national champion at West Virginia University. So he's actually a national champion at WVU.
Yeah.
He played actually only a couple years before they cut the program. He's up on the Hall of Fame and all that.
There was a guy I used to play with, Brandon. I can't think of it. I tried to get him to come play one time. I can't remember. He won the Charleston Public Courts.
Pat Walker.
Yeah, Pat. Yeah. So he came here and played Elkins one time, and I had the pleasure of playing against him. So it was interesting.
Yeah, Pat's honestly probably one of the best tennis players ever to come from West Virginia. He's he's got a record for the public courts. He's won it like 8 or 9 times, and that's a huge tournament. Like players from the Midwest all over come and play, and the level's really high. So as a player, it's fun to see it still be fun for you as a player and as a coach, and it's cool for you to still get to hit with your players too, I think, And
oh yeah.
I love playing my players in challenge sets and beating them and talking trash and being you got to get better, man. You can't lose to me. I'm old now. Like I'm retired. Like if you're losing to me, what are you going to do against Edinburgh or whatever? Like it's
right. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I still do it here. It's, it's quite interesting to even, a little bit better to play doubles for me than singles. But if I got with my strength coach here, he could probably have me in shape in 6 months to a year to play singles if I really wanted to, like legit singles, not like
Yeah,
old
yeah.
man singles. Old man singles is still old man singles. It's not the same.
Definitely. So, you were at D&E for what? How many years? Like 7 years?
Eight
8
years.
years. So you're there
Yeah.
8 years. You win a few GMAC championships on each side, right?
Right.
Yeah. And so, what made you want to take the jump to Weber? What was kind of the process there, and how did it go down?
Well, I wouldn't say it's boredom or just like looking like when you start like the winning. I always say winning builds winning. Like once you start winning, you can continue to win. Like things happen, they fall in place, and you continue to grow. So like the 5th year we won, the guys were 16-6, the girls were 19-5. We just took off, and the next year it just kept piling on, and then it just wasn't so much like I won 4 with the guys, 3 with the girls, and I got to the finals of the one with the girls, and we lost a heartbreaker, and I made the girls watch the girls celebrate. I want you to feel that, and it's no different than here. But I had some interviews to look at some. I'm trying to up my level, go to Division I, see if I could get to go to the next level. And a couple of interviews went by. I had some great responses, great interviews, and the biggest seller was my master's. I didn't have a master's, and I had a mutual friend that knew the AD that just got hired here at Weber. They were either going to cut the tennis program or build it back up. So basically I came here to interview. They had 4 guys and 3 girls. They hadn't won a tennis match in 3 years. Teams would just show up. They offered me the job, told me I could get my master's here. So I came back to D&E and said, it was fun. I kind of wanted to raise a little bit too. I hadn't been there. I've been there for a little while, but it just wasn't going to work out for either thing. Plus I was still working at the computer job. I had a computer job, IT company I was helping run. And it was just time for me to change, make a difference, change something. And we left, and 4 of the guys went with me. And I tried to get the girls, but most of them were juniors going to be seniors, so it would just been difficult. I've tried to work on Kelsey forever to come, but she didn't want to leave West Virginia. And
Yep.
But we came here, and I just remember Yvonne looking at the schedule. He goes, "Coach, do you know this team hasn't won matches in 3 years?" And I was like, "Even more reason we're coming here. I want to change the culture, change everything." And going to Weber was the right choice, and it's Florida. Like I could be the worst Florida school, but it's still Florida.
Right. I get that. Yeah. So, how was your experience from taking over? You took over a D&E program where you were brand new program, so you had a lot of struggles. Then you take over a Weber program that hasn't won a match in 3 seasons. So similar a little bit. I mean, not starting from ground zero, but starting in a process where you got to build a lot.
Yeah, it was pretty similar in a way. So that way, I mean, the players they had on board, were kind of like recreational players. They not that they didn't have talent. They didn't want to do 2-hour practices and an hour conditioning every day. They didn't want to do the work. It was kind of like social tennis. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was nice. I brought in 4 of my guys. So it was like an immediate heart transplant. Like, here, all right, we know the guys are going to take off and we're going to be competitive right away because I brought in 4 guys that are hungry and want to play. We had a couple guys here already, so they kind of just filled in the bottom. I recruited a couple at the last minute because I didn't get here till July.
Right.
Season starts September. And so the girl side was a little more tricky. I pulled a girl from Utah the day of classes, like the day that they got here to register and check in. I recruited a girl to come here, and she got here a week late. She drove all the way from Utah, transported everything here. And she was playing at Delta State, so she transferred in. I got a really good German girl, and we just started building off of that. And the next year, though, I got a full recruiting class, and I was able to build. And that's, we started doing some good things here and changing the culture. So it was nice to beat the 18th ranked team in the country on the men's side on our first match ever, and everybody on the team was like, "This is exciting." I'm like,
right.
You know what I mean? It's like, but they just hadn't won in so long, they forgot how to win. Kind of,
Yeah. So I guess you went from two similar situations. What have been some of the differences, in Division II NCAA versus NAIA? In your opinion, some of the things that are different, and what's similar? I'm sure there's a lot more similarities.
For me, like, I don't know, like I know you guys probably do the same as well. Like, I play Division One teams. I play Division. It doesn't matter who you are. Long you want to play, we're going to play. I did learn that, for me, like, it hurt me the second year because I played everybody. I tried to focus more on NAIA schools this year just to help us with our ranking and what we're trying to get placed in. Kind of similar in your city. At least we have a conference, but I mean, especially for you as an independent school, you got to pick your regional teams, correctly when you're going to peak and play those teams so you guys can get in. And for us, you know, I think the rule, everybody makes a big deal thinking it's the Wild West here for rules. Now, we have a lot of rules. I mean, my number one this year took a month and a half to get cleared. I thought he was going through an FBI investigation. They were just grilling him about tournaments that happened 4 years ago because he's a master's student. They were like, what was he doing in 2016? I was like, go ask those tournaments. There were 17 of them. He goes, five or six of them don't even exist anymore. And basically, they ended up calling the Belgian Tennis Federation president. His mom knew the guy. He called NAI on his behalf to say he wasn't playing professionally. And we were telling him, like, if he was playing professionally, he would be here at Weber. he'd be out playing, making money.
Right. So I guess, the differences in recruiting aren't too big then, right?
No, I mean, the only difference I have now, I think, for me is I'm not in the mountains of West Virginia. I'm in Florida. And people want to come to Florida. They think, but for me, like, at the end of the day, I think it matters just where you're going to go play tennis. And, like, what are you going to get? Like, for me as a coach, I was a player. I mean, I recruited a tennis player. What do you want to do? I want to play tennis. So I'm trying to play as many matches as possible and get you good matches. I mean, for me, like, I might go to the USTA National Center 3 or 4 times in the spring break session in March to go play matches, because we're so close to it and I can get those matches. Or people will come here for spring break, but they'll come to Weber to play us, So, for me, it was harder. Like, in West Virginia, I think the logistically what was hard was for me in West Virginia in the winter, I had the indoor courts with the two wooden indoor courts. And it costs money to go play indoors up at, Summit or, if you went anywhere else, Charleston. I'm outside I'm outside all year round where you guys, I remember in West Virginia, I didn't get outside sometimes till April.
Yeah.
And you had the break in September and October, you'd be outside. But, for me, that's what sells me here. You see me, I post pictures in December going, hey, I'm outside in t-shirt and shorts and, the sunset, I sell, that's what I'm selling. Not a crab cake dinner overlooking Elkins Town off of the Graceland,
I don't know. That last part sounds pretty interesting to me right now.
Yeah.
Those crab cakes are pretty good, man.
Yeah, no, I know. But I'm just saying, like, you just got to sell what you have. I mean,
right.
It's a challenge. I mean, how do you sell Salem, West Virginia?
Well, again, you kind of talked about some of it, but you sell on winning, right? You find kids that want to play tennis and that want an opportunity and they need a chance to get to America. And you sell them that, you're going to get an education and you're going to play a lot of tennis and we're going to travel around the state and the region and we're going to win a lot of matches.
Exactly. So, I mean, our same things the same for no matter where we're at. Just I get to do it in Boca and you get to go to Charleston or Edinburgh or, you know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, we're still selling the same thing, and I still blows my mind. I have 14 home matches. Like, I don't ever have to travel. People will come to me. Like, they will come here for spring break. They'll come drive from Orlando because they don't have to pay for the National Center or somewhere else. And you can come have 6 courts and, on the lake and the pool. Like, you can have the whole experience. If you want to have a cookout here, come here.
Yeah, definitely. Interesting to say, like, that, you're always going to sell the same thing no matter what school or what division you're at as far as the tennis piece and the culture. But, you use what you have to your advantage,
Correct.
Any school you can find pros about, and I'm sure most schools you can find cons about, but, you kind of want to highlight the things you have and, sell the culture piece. For us at Salem, it's a small school and we're in West Virginia and, obviously maybe there's some things that aren't favorable and there's some things that are favorable. And I think you'll find that at all schools, right? Most schools aren't a perfect situation, but finding the right pieces and the right guys and women culturally who aren't going to complain and they're just going to work, putting the work in on the courts in Salem and putting the work in on the courts in Florida, you still got to work. So
exactly. So
yeah,
and it
doesn't put itself in.
Yeah, I mean, it has to do with the coaches as well. I mean, you got to find a fit. The player has to find a fit for the coach that fits them and their personality. And I've had players always say the grass isn't always greener on the other side, but I mean, it's still not stopping you from trying to see if it's better for you or not. And I try to, I guess, build a culture with my players. The fact that after this, there's life. It's not always tennis, and so I kind of coach in that aspect of, I'm not here waking you up and knocking on your door to make you come to practice at 5 a.m. or if we're leaving. If you get left behind, it's same as your job. If you don't make it and get up in time, you're going to get fired. So, I mean, you have to take some responsibility for what you're going to do in your actions. And the same with, going to work. You got to get up in the morning and do your job. And it's no different than here. You got to get up and do your job. And, sometimes at practice, I have the same policy in the same way as saying, hey, if you're not feeling it today, don't come here and waste my time. Go home and, or if you got to study because you're a student first. I actually, love this. Actually, the girl that came from Utah was playing for me last year. We're playing against Division I, Mount St. Mary's. I said, well, I'm going to forfeit my doubles match. She has an exam to take. And I had her take the exam. We lost that doubles point. We played out to 9 that time instead of the other way. We won 1 doubles point, so we're down 2-1. She comes back. She plays 4 singles, so she had time because we only have 6 courts, so the first 3 women go on. She gets here in time, and we end up winning the match 5-4. But I forfeited and the professor was like, he's never had a coach do that. Like, for me, it was just a matter of making the decision that I needed to make the right decision. Because it's not, for me, it's not always, like I said, it's not always about the athletics as much as what is, at the end of the day, our job. The job is to make sure they graduate and become successful human beings in the world and be productive, people. And I get a lot of reward. It's funny you talk about my championships, but I get more reward out of taking a picture with them graduating than I have any championship I've ever won, no matter what ring or what happened. Having a picture with them in a cap and gown, and that's why it's tough this year for me with the virus, because this week's graduation, Friday's graduation for us, but there's no pictures going to happen. So we're trying to figure out. Where I think we might have like a Zoom meeting this week and just talk about it. And I've got some senior awards I want to give out, and we'll just kind of do it electronically this year. So.
Yeah, definitely. The COVID thing hasn't been fun for any of us. Like you said, kids aren't going to graduate. A lot of seniors aren't going to be able to come back again next year, and
right.
Schools aren't going to have the scholarship for them, or they already filled the scholarship. So, a lot of people, my former teammates who were a part of that championship run, and 3 of them were seniors at Fairmont. So, not seeing them get to end their careers on a positive note. For me, it was sad to see. And obviously our first year at Salem got cut short, and, we were having a great run, especially on the women's side. We thought we had a legit shot at nationals out of our region this year on the women.
Right.
So, to see that, to not even get to play it, losing is one thing, but to feel like it was kind of taken from you when you really thought, like, if we come on at the right time, like, we can win this. And, regardless, the graduation piece is hard because we actually didn't have any seniors. So, that piece wasn't as bad for us. Everyone will be back. Pretty much everyone will be back as freshmen, which is kind of weird.
Well, I'm bringing back my top 4 girls, so that's always nice.
Yeah.
Two of them are graduating, but they're going to do the master's program here. So they're coming back. I got a couple of them that got some friends that are going to come here that are better than them. So we might have a decent shot building up. On the guys' side, I'm actually graduating 1. Actually, I graduate 2, but then I've got 4 or 5 coming back, plus a couple pieces in. So I'm surprised you're not trying to get your guys from Fairmont to come there to Salem for you.
A couple of them aren't coming back and playing their 5th year at all, actually. And one of them won't graduate technically until December. And I don't know what he's doing. I think he might want to do a GA. So, yeah, I don't think any of them are going to continue their careers, actually, their playing careers. I think it's tough, too, because look at how many seniors, they were like mentally like, okay, I got 2 more months of this.
Exactly.
They can't restart and be like, oh, I got to train all summer again. And I got to, they're done, man. Most people are. It's you're 2 months away. And in your head, you think it's your last 2 months of tennis. So, it's sad to see most of their careers will end. And a lot of people had job offers already and were already doing their master's somewhere else with no tennis. And it's
Well, that's what Matt's going to Stetson to do a volunteer coaching position for his OPT. So he's going to go there for a year, and then he's going to look at getting his master's after that. And so he's gone. Mark was one of my other guys. He's going back to Germany. But Ivan, Kyle, and a couple other guys will be back. Ivan still don't know. He hasn't finished till December, so he's trying to figure out.
Can he do his master's in the spring?
Well, that's what he was talking about. Like, can he start? And so he's like you said, he was done. You know what I mean? Like, in his mind, and I get it. So yeah, there's no pressure. I told him think it over to summer. If you feel like, hey, I want to make one more run, or if I want to do it, we'll figure it out. But for now, he knows he's going to finish up this fall, and he's doing really well in school, and he's looking for the next step. Wants to get his master's in financing and just become an investor. So he told me he'd take the first $1,000 and invest it for me. So.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's seeing the careers end and seeing things change. It's situations that coaches have never had to be in before. And,
Right.
Situations that it's unfortunate that young people have to be in because, they just didn't have to think that they would make decisions like this. And for most people, like we said, they have other opportunities and their tennis careers are going to kind of end with a question mark.
Well, I have a great point on it. For me, and I think you're the same. Most of us as tennis players, we don't keep doing the same thing and losing. We adjust on the fly and we make decisions based on things that are happening around us. And I always tell when this first started happening, going down, everybody was upset, and then like, well, coach, you're not bothered. It's like we just got to adjust and you got to change what you're doing and make an adjustment. For me as a tennis player, it just comes naturally. I mean, we've done it for most of our lives playing. That's what you got to do. So for me to explain it that way to my players, some of them understood that. Like, you got to make that adjustment and know, hey, it's not the end of the world. But the thing is, for me, like, if it was just like, let's say it was South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, I'd be miserable because Texas, California, West Virginia, everybody else gets to play. But it's not just us; it was the whole world, So it was a little bit easier to swallow when you think of it as a big picture, as opposed to just thinking it's just you as a small unit. You know what I mean? Like, if it had just been West Virginia, you guys would be miserable, just like if it was just Florida. But fortunately for us, it was the whole entire country. And the thing that came out of it was that, hey, all the spring sports get another year. But then you got your NCAA basketball tournament guys going, hey, what about us? We didn't get to play a tournament. Next thing you know, you're trying to give everybody a year, because if you gave them, then the fall would be like, well, it's not fair. You know what I mean? So for us, we had like 12 matches in. We had about 8 matches left because we started the second week of January.
Yeah, you guys are different than us because we were only exactly. 5 matches in and 6 matches in. So
I'm getting
ready to go to
quarter
of the season.
Yeah, getting ready to go to Hilton Head, and they're telling me we can't go play. And I'm like, all right, well, and I didn't cancel anything yet. And I had people call me, guys, you guys still playing? I say, if you want to come to Florida, and then eventually they like, coach, you can't play. And I'm like, oh, all right. So I was trying to be the last man standing, but it just, eventually they just cut everything, and ADs are telling teams to fly home and, hurry back. So, but, fortunately for us, like I said, I think as a whole, as a country, we're all in the same. Yeah, a friend of mine said, "Yeah, we're on the same boat, or we're in the same storm, but we're not in the same boat." You brought up a subject earlier, I think, too, about what we think happened. Last week, I think, was it 5 programs maybe cut.
Oh yeah,
and I told him, I go home and talk to my wife. She says, "What's wrong?" There's some. I don't think my program's in jeopardy, but you just don't ever know. Like, you don't know. You go home and not have a job, but for me, I've got a million different things I could do. If I have to go back to delivering pizzas, I deliver pizzas. You just roll with the punches, and you just bring what life gives you. I've been at the bottom and I've been at the top. It's just a matter of what you decide, where you roll out and spit out next. And, if all else fails, I can go back to court building.
Yeah, interesting that you say that. I mean, for sure, I not only was the college season canceled for me, but I work at the tennis club in Morgantown, so I haven't been with the kids at all. For me, like, I'm always on the run. Like, I'm teaching for 6 hours in a row, and then I'm going home and doing my homework, for my MBA, and then I'm planning for the next day what we're going to do at Salem, and this is all year round, since I took the job at Salem. So for me, being busy and always on court and always, how can I get someone better and how can I get the team better I'm stuck in the house. So, yeah, just for me personally, like I kind of started these talks just like, man, like I'm really bored and it's easy to get down seeing these programs get cut and there's just so
Yeah,
many things
exactly.
that were negative that in the past couple months. And I was like, man, I know that there's some other coaches that are just itching to get back out there and itching to talk tennis and
Oh,
because this is our live, man. So, we're just missing it. So for me, it was like, I just want to get some of these coaches on and just talk tennis, man. Let's be positive again. And let's help people understand what we do and the back end stuff that they'd never hear about or understand. It's
yeah.
interesting for people.
I could probably take you outside. I think Yvonne and Matt are out there hitting right now because my court. You can't get on campus because our security's there to stop everybody from coming all the way to the gate. But I know they came up earlier and got balls, and so they've been hitting some of those guys because Kyle, Matt, Cyril, and Yvonne are still here, so they've been rotating around, hitting down there between that and playing basketball. So
Yep.
uh,
In
yeah,
West Virginia, some of the courts are still open, the public courts. So me and
okay,
Caitlin have hit probably like 3 times a week, and we've actually been playing a lot of pickleball in the last like
yeah, you
since
into
quarantine.
pickleball?
Yeah, I learned how to play. Man, it's a fun sport if you like to. It's translates well from tennis, and it's
It
like
translates money in my pocket. I'll draw some pickleball court lines down on a tennis court.
it's really popular in Florida, man. Like if you
Oh,
can
I know,
teach
dude.
pickleball, we're
Yeah,
thinking about starting it a little bit at the club. Terry Dermer loves to play
yeah,
pickleball. He's really good at it. So we're
nice.
kind of trying to start it up in Morgantown a little bit. There's a big community in West Virginia that plays.
Yeah, I know. Well, Kayla was playing
Yeah,
there.
Kayla. Yep.
I know she's always playing. So,
She's the
you,
pioneer of West
hey,
Virginia pickleball.
you should ask Lee. When I was at school at D&E, they were teaching pickleball at D&E, and I was like, I'm not playing this. It's not tennis. Back in the mid '90s. Now look at it. Had I known, I could have been the great influx of pickleball happening because man, it's just taken off.
Yeah, well, even now, if you wanted to play, I mean, the tennis skills directly translate. Like the volleying is the same.
Yeah,
It's just more touch. Like you don't have as much power. It's easier to block back the power at the net. But it's
right,
mostly a doubles game, and you know doubles is your bread and butter. So
right,
you're gonna
exactly.
have to get
So
out there.
I know.
Yeah, it's
Maybe
fun.
next time I'm up. Maybe next time I'm up to West Virginia, we'll hook up and we can go play a little bit. You teach me.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Tennis skills translate really well. But like I said, yeah, we've been playing tennis and pickleball, and it's not as bad here in West Virginia though. Like it's a lot less cases, and we're more
right.
spread out. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
Population
no,
is small here in comparison to Florida
yeah.
or
Well, even where I'm at, I mean, the two county, well, Polk County I'm in, and then the one that's next to us, I think it's Highlands County, and the cases are very limited, and the ones that they're more in the more populated, densely areas. So it's not as bad here as you would think, but still a precaution and taking those. Like I said, they're not letting me come in 5 days a week. I'm only allowed to
exactly.
come in 3. So I mean, they're still trying to do the things, but I mean, we limit going to Walmart once a week. We're trying to
Exactly.
limit the time we're possibility of coming in contact with people. So I'll be glad when it's over because I'm ready to get out.
Yes.
I got my kids, man. My kids are texting me, not my college kids. I've been teaching private lessons, so I've got about 12 kids I'm teaching, and hey, coach, can we get together? Because their parent, I'm just waiting, chomping, and ready to go. So, I'll be busy. I'll start losing weight again from all the weight I put on sitting at home. One good thing is I've been picking my guitar back up, so I've been trying to learn to play guitar again. So that's
Nice.
my late night obsession. So.
Yeah, I think we've all kind of had to take a step back. And, since we're all at home a lot more than we're used to, I mean, especially coaches who are
Yeah,
always
I
busy.
go. Yeah, man. We
Yeah,
all
yeah.
go.
So we've kind of
Yeah.
had to take a step back and find some other things to kind of do or other hobbies, the old hobbies we picked up. And for
Yeah.
me, especially the first couple weeks, I was just like staring at the wall, like, what am I supposed to do, man? Like, I don't try to play my Xbox. I was like, I'm running out of ideas, and I think I
Yeah.
was driving my girlfriend crazy the first couple weeks. 'Cause she's like, I'm trying to do my online work, like. Do something, man.
Yeah.
You got to stay busy.
I'm not gonna lie. I don't miss my master's work at all. I mean, you got to think. I was trying to do my master's. We had the baby. I got the 2-year-old. I'm coaching both men and women, and I was still consulting for the IT company back in West Virginia. So I was doing all that and getting my master's and writing research papers. So when I didn't have to do the master's anymore, I thought I got my free time back. But here lately, my free time now at night goes into helping Mason do his homework because
Nice.
his teachers are giving more work than what my master's professors were giving.
It's been challenging for me. My summer semester just started on Monday, so yesterday. So I just
Okay.
started back for the summer, 3 classes. Then I'm 3 classes in the fall, and I graduate in December.
Nice.
So, but yeah, it's been crazy because I'm working part time around. During the season, I'm like 20 hours a week at the tennis club in Morgantown. During the summer, I'm full time. So I'm bouncing around from working Salem coaching to at the club to doing my homework to just all these things. So you just stay busy, and it's good for you to stay busy. I think that's one lesson my parents always taught me is just to always work hard and good things will come.
Exactly. You just got to put the work in, and it does happen. That is 100% legit true. By the way, I showed my SID your little snippets of different things. He goes, "What are you doing?" I told him I was going to talk to you. He asked if you wanted to get a second master's, if you want to come to Weber to work for him and do broadcasting and some other stuff. So something to think about, on the back burner if you want to come to Florida.
I'm going to have to get my agent on the phone, but we could maybe work a deal out.
Yeah, so I showed him, and we watched 3 or 4. We showed him Terry's clip and Kyle's, and I forget, there was one other one I think we watched. Simsy it might have been. So we just parts of it. We didn't watch them all. Just I showed him different parts. And I was explaining to him, and he's like, "Man, does he want a job? Like, can we get him here?" And I was like, "I'll tell him."
I got some unfinished business here at Salem to do, Coach.
No. But I mean, you got some time. I mean,
hey, keep me in mind down the road. Definitely tell him I might be a free agent here in the next year or so. So we'll see.
That's what I said. You don't finish till December, and by then you want to finish out coaching for the year. So I mean, it wouldn't be till like next year, but always got a plan. You know what I mean? Got to have a plan.
Well, you know me, Coach. I'm a cold-blooded hustler, man. I'm trying to hustle and work from spot to spot, kind of like you in that respect. So
always.
It's not a bad thing to be like that. You know what I mean? You're always trying to work and improve something, and I think good things come from that, and success comes from that.
Yeah, I've been trying to get you to go in the court building in West Virginia. You keep showing me all these dilapidated courts in West Virginia. I can come and teach you how to do it.
I'm interested in that, man. I think especially, seeing courts dilapidated in my home state is, seeing any tennis. Like I'm a passionate tennis guy at heart, so I see courts with cracks or a saggy net, and I'm immediately like, how do I fix this net for them?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I mean, that's kind of how it started with me. I love seeing things go from from beginning to end, see the final product, and even doing Weber's courts, and from that, I may get a bid to do Orlando. Like, there's 9 courts in Orlando with a stadium court, and I'm like, what if I do that, and then that could carry over to another? There's enough work here. I had the guy that the rep told me, there's enough work here. I could stay busy all year if I really want to do that as a business. The problem is, I love coaching. So.
Yeah, it's definitely you definitely find how thin you run once you start to get into the coaching and other. There's so many things that can bounce off of that. Like a lot of coaches go into recruiting agencies, and then you know what I mean.
Oh yeah,
so, I mean, the college tennis game. It's just there's so many things that you can be involved with it if you want to and make a living out of it. And it doesn't have to be just college tennis, but tennis as a whole, man. It's just the 10 years that I've been around the game, it's crazy to me, the relationships I built, just from being a punk kid playing in the tournaments and being just a 16-year-old kid, not knowing a freaking thing and playing and having fun with you guys and learning from all you guys. Like you said, man, for me, it's just crazy to have guys at my disposal to talk to like you and like Kyle, Terry, Lee, guys that I consider like the legends of tennis in West Virginia. And I like to joke with Kyle, the Mount Rushmore of West Virginia college D2 tennis, and the characters and figures. It's just something that I never would have thought, like as a 15-year-old picking up a tennis racket, that I would be this in the game. Like this is involved with it from all ends. It's surreal to think about, where I started it from and where you grow to, things you wouldn't think that would happen.
I tell you, like my goal, like when I started that West Virginia tournament series, was just so I could get so I could get out and play. For me, because I missed that competitiveness of playing, and I was like, all right, we'll just do the Elkins tournament. And I was teaching in Moorfield to the high school kids, and she was like, I'll run a tournament. I was like, well, I'll come over and help you. She goes, I don't know how to do it. I was like, come help you, helping Tracy. Yep. And then Ben happened to one time I saw him at Elkins. He goes, well, we used to have one in Kaiser, and I'm like, all right, well, let's put it together. And so that's how the 3 tournaments started. And then it grew to 5, and then it was like
Yep.
10. Next thing you know, there's 18. And we're all traveling every weekend to play. And for me, I was like, just to see that happen and just like come to fruition, it wasn't about money as much as just us playing. And like, yeah, it was a good little fundraiser, but for me, like, it's just affordable. You look at the USTA tournaments and how much they are to go play and get in, and like, and granted, some of that took over and they wanted, we had to pay these fees, but the whole idea was not, we just wanted to play, just get matches in. We play singles, doubles, mix, and then I play 35, whatever it is. But for us to go around together, and we formed like a almost like a brotherhood, a bond, like the guys that always played, with me, you, Ben, Kyle,
Mr. Bailey,
Mr. Bailey,
Tim,
and even Phil for a bit, and then
yep,
Josh,
Joey,
Joey,
Josh.
Josh,
Those
So,
guys are always there. It's funny to think
yeah,
about.
we're always there. And I look back now, and I mean, it's been, I've been out of West Virginia for 3 years, but I look back now and I'm like, man, I miss that. I miss that playing every weekend. I know it's not even happening now. Like, there's only a few tournaments left that go on. And someone said, "Oh, when you leave, this ain't going to keep happening." And I'm like, no. They'll still play. The people will play, but there's only a handful of tournaments still going on. And this is frustrating, like, as you see it happen and unfold. But think about how much a good time it was when it was full going, and you driving early in the morning to come to Elkins, and
Yeah.
or I'll go drive early in the morning to go to Fairmont or Kaiser. So we just
North
play.
Marion Open, Kaiser Open, Lincoln
Yeah,
Open, the Fairmont
exactly.
tournament. Seeing the faces and coming out and competing, man, it definitely taught me a lot more about tennis, like going and playing on those circuits and taking some beatings from older people and giving out some beatings too, definitely.
Yeah.
It made me want to, keep coming back and keep trying to beat you guys when I was still playing 18s. I was like, I want to win the men's tournaments, then I win a men's tournament. And it for sure too, I think it made my decision that I wanted to play college tennis because I loved going on the road and being with the guys and playing tennis and just BSing and just having a good time. And, times that I'll definitely always remember. Me and Joey talk a lot about going to tournaments and traveling and just sleeping on people's couches when we had to.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
Kaiser, I mean, it is funny, man. But yeah, what do you look forward to most? I'll let you off here in a minute, but what do you look forward to most getting back to tennis, both in teaching and, on the court, and both in college tennis? Number one thing for you.
All right. I think most for me, like what I look forward to teaching, it's funny because I'm kind of relating it to guitar right now because I'm taking these lessons and it's that aha moment. Like when you
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like they get it,
Yeah.
like it clicks and it's like, boom, like, there's no drill. Like there's no special drill to get you better. It's just repetition. It's muscle memory. It's repetition. You got to hit thousands of balls. But that aha moment when it goes off in your head and you put it together and they go, oh, they put it together and they do it. And you're like, oh, now you get it. And sometimes it takes 4 years. Sometimes it takes 6. It could be a month, 2 months, 6 months. But the constant work and like, hey, you're going to do this and this. And what I find is the younger kids I teach, like the high school kids I've been teaching, and we do different sets of things. And then I'll have them go play and they'll do the things that we've been training. And they come back and like, you taught us, but without teaching us. And I said, no, I just taught you the skill set. And that's the aha moment, like where you're like, oh, you taught us without teaching us. And I said, yeah, that's the trick.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
wax on, wax off, Miyagi-san. You're teaching them something, but they don't know that they're being taught. That's the key. Like that's, as a coach, I think when you can do that, because I've seen some of my players try to help me coach, and they're trying to explain to someone to do something, and you can see the look on the player's face going, I can't do that. Like you have to keep it simple, and you have to break it down to something that's relatable that you can do on the court. But for me, like I said, the greatest satisfaction, though, like not just coaching that, but for me, the satisfaction is that graduation moment when it's done. You get the diploma, and I have a picture. I think one of my pictures I have, I think on my WhatsApp, it's me and T last year because I was actually graduating with my master's.
Yeah. You guys graduated together.
Yeah. So we graduated together. So that's a special moment. But I mean, I've shared other moments, but for me graduating with them and they came here, and this year it was tough because Matt, Kyle, and Yvonne came here with me, and we're not gonna have that finishing moment at the end. And so that's tough. But usually for me, that moment of being together, you see them on my Facebook too, is the graduation pictures. And reflecting, they always come up, they pop up in people's history.
Yeah.
Hey, here's a picture with me and Coach, and it brings back a good feeling because I remember almost every one of those pictures of being with them. Um, sometimes you can, I always tell my players last year, even though I didn't win the championship, to take the program to be nationally ranked, to have nationally ranked players, to made in the conference tournament for the first time, all those things, the first time in 10 years. I may not have won, but it was one of the most satisfying to see them grow as a team and come together as a unit and to have an opportunity to play, to go forward. I didn't win. They're but you didn't win. I'm like, I don't necessarily have to win to feel good about what we did. I've got trophies. It's not about trophies for me. It's about that. What are we doing? You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So.
Yeah, one of the hardest parts, I think, for me as a young coach is to take a step back sometimes and think, there's so much more than the winning. You know what I mean? Because sometimes, and Kyle has to tell me this, he's like, I'm just so intense. And that, I think especially my first year at Fairmont and early in this season, taking the losses so hard. I think sometimes I take the losses harder as a coach than I did as a player. And I think it's just learning how to grow and taking a step back and realizing, okay, we lost. Could we play better? Yes. What did we learn from it, though? How can we become better players because of this loss, and not necessarily, looking at a loss as saying, oh, we stunk today. So just marginal gains, and the thing for us, we just look forward to getting back to the relationships with players, man. Just watching them grow and helping them become better humans, better students, better athletes, and like you said, watching them graduate and then get to the next level, and they can succeed as a human because of some of the lessons that you hopefully help them learn in their 4 years. So just getting back to the relationships and all that is one thing that I really look forward to, and I miss the guys and girls all the time. We're texting in the group chat. Thanks for coming on today, Coach. I appreciate you. Hope I didn't keep you on too long, man.
The only thing you're doing is stop me from recruiting. Means I'm not taking any players from Salem.
I'm just trying to hold you back, Coach. I'm trying to distract you. But appreciate you coming on today, man. I'm sure I'll talk to you soon, and I can't wait to watch this, and I hope everyone's excited for it.
I appreciate it. And, next time we'll have one more chat. Next time we'll talk about the funny stories on trips. We should make a segment with that because I got Lee. I had some funny stories with Lee, but I can tell you some other funny stories too as well. So,
I'm definitely looking forward to that. We could probably fill about another hour worth of Lee stories at least. So I'm looking forward to that. But I'll talk to you soon, Coach. Have a good day.
Buddy. All right, you too. Thanks.
Yep.
All right, bye.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right.